What is sexual harassment?
Sexual harassment is an unwelcome sexual advance, unwelcome requests for sexual favors, or other unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature which makes a person feel offended, humiliated, and or intimidated, where a reasonable person would anticipate that reaction in the circumstances. In legal terms, sexual harassment is considered a form of sexual abuse. Not only is sexual harassment inappropriate, but is also unlawful, and in appropriate cases, perpetrators can be held accountable in both civil and criminal court.
Sexual harassment refers to any unwelcome behavior or advances of a sexual nature that create a hostile, intimidating, or offensive environment. It can occur in various settings such as the workplace, schools, or public places, or even online. Examples of sexual harassment can include unwanted sexual comments, jokes, or gestures, requests for sexual favors in exchange for benefits or to avoid negative consequences. Displaying or sharing sexually explicit materials, unwanted touching or physical assault, cyber harassment such as sending explicit messages or images without consent.
For me, the anti-sexual harassment, it can be physical or verbal. This includes a range of actions from verbal transgressions to sexual abuse or assault. Harassment can occur in many different social settings such as the workplace, the home, school, or religious institutions. Harassers or victims can be any of gender.
Ang sexual harassment ay ang sapilitang paghingi, paghiling o pag-uutos at iba pa. Ang sexual na pabor mula sa iba, ito man ay tanggapin o pagbigyan o hindi ng biktima na nanggagaling sa employer, manager, supervisor, ahente ng employer, guro, instructor, professor, coach, tagapagsanay o sinumang may kapangyarihan, impluwensya o moral na awtoridad sa iba sa loob ng trabaho o lugar ng pag-aaral o pagsasanay.
There are three forms of sexual harassment. Number 1. Verbal sexual harassment. Verbal sexual harassment involves saying anything of a sexual nature to someone who is unwilling recipient. If someone else says something to you that is either explicitly sexual or sexually suggestive, and if what they say makes you uncomfortable, then you may be a victim of sexual harassment. Here are the example of verbal sexual harassment. Number 1. Requesting sexual favors. Number 2. Expressing a desire for sexual contract or conduct. Number 3. Using sexually explicit language. Number 4. Commenting on a person's appearance. Number 2. Expressing a desire for sexual contract or conduct. Non-verbal sexual harassment. Non-verbal sexual harassment is any form of unwanted sexual communication or conduct that involves something other than verbal speech but falls short of physical sexual contract. This includes sending emails and text messages that are sexually explicit or otherwise sexual in nature. Blocking a hallway or doorway. Number 2. Blowing kisses or winking. Number 3. Physical sexual contact. Unwanted physical contact is considered either sexual harassment or sexual assault. Depending on the severity of the encounter, examples of physical contact that can constitute sexual harassment or that can blur the line between sexual harassment and sexual assault.
Any form of unwanted touching, patting, grabbing or pinching, hugging or kissing. Because of the following forms of sexual harassment, they develop a law which is the RA 11313 Safe Spaces Act or the Bawal Bastos Law. So what was RA 11313 all about? 11313 or the Safe Spaces Act Bawal Bastos Law addresses gender-based sexual harassment in public areas such as streets, privately owned places open to the public and public utility vehicles, among others. Because of sexual harassment, the government make a law against sexual harassment. This law aims to protect all the victims of sexual harassment, it's either girl or boy, adult or young. 11313 The rights of the victim and the accused who is a minor shall be recognized. The law requires that confidentiality should be observed at all times by employers and heads of schools and training institutions in complaints of GBSH in their institutions. These establishments are obligated to provide assistance to victims of gender-based sexual harassments by coordinating with local police authorities immediately after gender-based sexual harassment is reported, making CCTV footage available when ordered by the court, and providing a safe, gender-sensitive environment. What does the Safe Spaces Act cover? The law covers all forms of gender-based sexual harassment, GBSH, committed in public spaces, educational or training institutions, workplace, as well as online space. Gender-based threats and public spaces, sexual harassment. GBSH in street and public spaces is defined as acts which are committed through any unwanted and uninvited sexual actions or remarks against any person, regardless of the motive for committing such action or remarks. The law imposes a duty on employers and any other person of authority, influence, or moral ascendancy in the workplace to prevent, deter, or punish acts of gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace. The Bawal Bastos Law refers to the Safe Spaces Act, officially known as Republic Act No. 11313 in the Philippines. The law aims to prevent gender-based sexual harassment in public spaces, both online and offline. It was signed into law by President Rodrigo Duterte on April 17, 2019, and it officially took effect 15 days after its publication in the official gazette on April 24, 2019. Therefore, the implementation of the Bawal Bastos Law began on May 10, 2019